Hey, what is going on YouTube? MechlordGames here today. This time with another deck profile. I know I do a lot of deck profiles, but I enjoy showing you guys decks. And this was something that really caught my eye. So today I was sitting in Discord talking to my buddy Jordan that I've known for a while, and he saw Altergeist and wanted to make a deck. And it caught my interest, and I saw its potential, so I figured I'd go ahead and try it out. And I played around with several different builds, and this is the one that I feel works best. Yes, it uses the Wind Witch engine, so let's go ahead and talk about the deck, and let's get right into details. Altergeist Kuntieri. This card is absolutely amazing. It's a must-have of 3. You need all of them at 3. The Marionetter, your Cyclodotus, and then your Molosik. All of them are fantastic cards, and they all each have little effects. So if your opponent declares an attack while you control an Altergeist card, you can special summon this from your hand, negate the attack. Then you can target a face-up card your opponent controls, and while this monster is still face-up on the board, that card's effect is negated. So you can negate any card effect. Dragonic Diagram, you make it to where your opponents can't use their diagram effect. They'll have to use a whole new copy and waste that one, and just waste resources. It negates monster effects. So if Masterpiece hadn't actually gotten protected by monster effects and had already used its effect that turn, you could go ahead and use this and negate it. And then Masterpiece, as long as Kuntieri is still on board, Masterpiece will never be able to use its effect again. So it's a good way to shut out Masterpiece. It's a good way to shut out Crystal Wing. It's a good way to shut out a lot of things that can't stop this effect. So it's really good. And then Altergeist Marionetter. This card is absolutely awesome for the deck. When you summon it, you get to set an Altergeist trap from your deck. That is absolutely amazing. And then you can target an Altergeist card you control and an Altergeist monster in your graveyard. Send that card from the field to the graveyard, and then special summon that other monster from the graveyard. So it gets back some of your more important monsters that are really good for your defensive tactics of this deck. And I mean, Marionetter has 1600 attack. It does damage, but this deck's primary focus is keeping monsters off the board and keeping the field open and just controlling your opponent's plays and making your opponents suffer. That is one thing this deck can do very, very well without even being a realization. It's actually that good. So it's a pretty nice effect to be able to get back your other pieces. It gets you back your Slictus and your Millisik. Both of them are your more important summonables. If they're in the graveyard, this is great to get them back. So then we have the Cyclodotus. So quick effect. So basically, during either player's turn, you can return one other Altergeist card you control to the hand and target one card your opponent controls and return it to the hand. Really good. And then if it's sent from the field to the graveyard, well, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target an Altergeist trap in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. So this recycles your traps in the grave, so it's really useful at getting back stuff that was if they Twin Twistered your trap or whatever, you can get it back with Cyclodotus. So don't be afraid to use Spellbook of Knowledge and get rid of this guy, because these are all spellcasters, so there's great synergy here. But great card. It's a compulse that you can use anytime. You have your trap face up, at the end of your opponent's turn, you simply you just bounce a card that you control. You just bounce, you can bounce back these, so that you can keep reusing these, negating attacks, negating effects. Just this card is absolutely fantastic. Bounce these back as your priority. If you have these out, bounce them back with this guy, because it'll do the most wonder. And it looks like my Go-Go Chrome's deciding to be an asshole. That's fancy. So then we have Millisik. Now this card is absolutely ridiculous. It can attack directly, and when it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can target a card your opponent controls and send it to the graveyard. That is fantastic. Great card. And then when this card is sent to the graveyard from the field, you get to add one Altergeist monster from your deck to your hand. So searches out your other pieces. Just a great card. Great target for Spellbook of Knowledge. Knowledge this away, you get your draw 2 off Knowledge, then you get a search off this card. It's broken. So then for the Wind Witch engine, the 3 Ice Bell, 2 Glass Bell, and 1 Snow Bell. You summon your Ice Bell, you get Glass Bell, search a Snow Bell, you make Winter Bell, and then you make Crystal Wing, and it's nearly invincible, so it's a good thing to do. But the thing with Meloseek is it gets around the invincible Crystal Wing, so this is really good right now for the True for the Draco invoked, like the Wind Witch invoked True Dracos. This is a really good way of getting rid of the Crystal Wing. All you have to do is bait its effect out, get it to neg something, and then you just use this guy and it's just like nope. Or you use this trap card here to just completely ruin it. So great, fantastic engine. These are also spellcasters, so they're targets for Spellbook and Knowledge. And it's just great synergy with the deck. It gives the deck a little bit more protection and a little bit more oomph, because you get that, like, if you have nothing on the board, you Ice Spell, you get into your big Crystal Wing, and it's good protection from monster effects. On top of that, it's a 3k beater, it's really hard to get over, so it provides protection for this deck and provides a bigger beat stick for this deck to be able to power through some of the bigger monsters, because that's one thing this deck isn't necessarily so good at doing. It's good at poking down and whittling your opponent's resources down with Meloseek. It's great at that, and great at keeping field control with Cyclades. But as far as being able to get rid of monsters and being able to actually deal with problems that have a lot of attack, you can't really attack over anything, so you have to rely on effects. And this is just a little engine that gets you over bigger monsters and has more protection for the deck, and it synergizes with it well. And then we're running 3 Ghost Ash and Beautiful Spring, because this card is absolutely amazing right now in this format. So many decks are just search and search and search. This card is probably the #1 hand trap right now, aside of Maxi, but that Maxi is a different story. But this card, absolutely a dominant card this format, or any format for this, like any format that's all about searching or summoning from the deck, or even sending shit to the graveyard, like with the new Revendrid zombies. Like this card is just dominant. And then we have our 1 Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, 2 Spellbook of Secrets, and 3 Knowledge. Most of the time the engine is 1, 2, and 2, but because we have so many spellcasters, 3 Knowledge is absolutely acceptable in this deck. 2 Secret to search them out, and then the one Blue Boy to just search these out. You could take the Blue Boy out for just the 3rd Secrets if you want to, instead of having to use a normal summon for Blue Boy, because you do have to normal summon these other guys to get them on board, so that is one thing you can do. But I just like being able to go Blue Boy into Secrets, into Knowledge, and then Knowledge away Blue Boy, or if I have Meloseek on board, Knowledge away Meloseek. We'll get that search off as well. So like I said, it's got good synergy. 3 Duality to get your pieces. Like Duality to, like, you want to prioritize with Duality. Either, like, you want to like your main priorities if you get them is Solemns, Ash Blossom, Kuntieri, or Meloseek are like the main like ones I would grab, unless like if you have, like, you could use it and get an Ice Spell if Ice Spell pops up and you don't have one. Like, you can use it like to get ready for like a board wipe or something, because even if you can't make like the Crystal Wing, you can still like make Black Rose, so that's just a good option. And then for our traps, Altergeist Protocol. This card is absolutely amazing. This is your target for Marionetter, but the effects of Altergeist cards cannot be negated, so Crystal Wing cannot negate Meloseek, it can't negate Kuntieri, you can't negate any of these monsters' effects as long as Protocol is on board. This card is so good. And then when they activate a monster effect, you can send a face-up Altergeist card you control to the graveyard and negate the activation and destroy that card. So you can negate monster effects with this, as well as, like, if you have this on board, you can send it to the grave, get a free search off of it, and negate and destroy their card. It's super good. It's a fantastic trap. And then since this is still an Altergeist card, if they attack you and you have a Kuntieri in hand, you still can defend yourself even without a monster on board. And then if this is in the grave, you just Marionetter and get it back. Like, you summon Marionetter, you get your set Marionetter effect, get rid of this, or get rid of one of your active, like an active protocol, get this back, and just do things. It's really good. And then personal spoofing. This is kind of like the main searcher, as well as putting back parts like that you don't necessarily need. Like if you really need a Meloseek and you have like 2 of these, personal spoofing will recycle these. However, this doesn't have the Altergeist name, so this isn't searchable from Marionetter, which is unfortunate. But this card is still very good, and it allows you to get any Altergeist monster you need. So if you need protection, you can go ahead and use this and get rid of a spare and get into this, and then have this for protection, for negation and other shit. Like this deck is so it has so much playability and flexibility in the moves you can do, and it's so good. And then our Solemn Brigade. And then for the extra deck, Crystal Wing, Stardust, Clear Wing Fast Dragon, Wind Witch Winterbell, and Black Rose Dragon. There's been times where I went for a Crystal Wing play, ended up losing my Crystal Wing because I actually dueled against the World Chalice deck, and he had an out to Crystal Wing. Well, he Storming Mirror forced my Crystal Wing, so I still had resources in hand to be able, like, Crystal Wing was already out, so I didn't have Ice Spell's effect to use that turn, so I just summoned Ice Spell, and then Ice Spell, get out my last Glass Spell, and then I just made Clear Wing Fast Dragon, and just used that to just control the game from there. It's a great card, but in situations where you need to, you can just nuke the board, Black Rose, like, that's also a possibility. For the few X-Seeds we have, Constellar Pleiades. Why is Pleiades in here? You can't even use Pleiades. These are Earth. So forget that thing even exists. I'll have to kind of sort out the extra deck a little bit more, but like Tornado Dragon is like the one-off rank 4 if you can make it. I know what I'll put in. This card is actually pretty good. Like, this card is actually really good. It's a pretty strong card. So then, yeah, we'll just put that in. Be able to just keep monsters in defense position, negate activated effects of defense position monsters. This card is actually a really good wall. So it's a really good defense card. And then for like our links, just Barrel Load Dragon, I mean, because why not? Firewall Dragon, like pretty much like the standard stuff, like Ningirsu. This card's damn it, I'm gonna scroll down. You can send one card from each player's field to the graveyard. This is actually really nice. This card is actually really great because it synergizes. I mean, yeah, it takes 2 link monsters. You'll hardly ever summon this, but it is an option just in case. But you'll more than likely never get this out. But if you can, it's a great card to get out. Decode Talker, obviously. Altergeist, Prime Banshee. Now this card is actually pretty nice. So it is a link 3, so it requires 3 Altergeist monsters. And then during the main phase, as a quick effect, you can tribute 1 other Altergeist monster and special summon an Altergeist monster from your deck to the zone that this points to. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, target an Altergeist card in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So it recycles Altergeist cards in the graveyard, as well as it allows you to summon monsters from the deck. So you can use this to get pieces and parts. So that is actually, it's actually pretty nice. You can use this to get some stuff out. So like if you need this, you can summon this, get rid of it, get this out, or get this out, and just work wonders. So this card is actually not bad. 2100 beater. This is like the biggest monster the deck actually makes normally. Like, well, out of the extra deck, usually this is like the biggest thing it makes, other than like Clear Wing and Crystal Wing. Pretty much the biggest things it make. And then 2 Proxy Dragon, just because sometimes you may actually need this. But otherwise, this deck is actually a lot of fun to play, and it is a very good control-based deck. So I'm going to make sure I have some replays for you guys for this deck. So thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this deck, and I'll show you what it is capable of doing.